There's nothing more annoying than having a good day's fishing ruined by an engine that just won't start. I'm going to take it to someone who knows what they're talking about and get the good oil on what I should be doing to make it run properly.
Steve, what sort of things should your outboard owner be looking at on a regular basis?
At the end of the day, you need to become familiar with what you're running out on the water.
Yeah.
Regularly taking the engine cover off the engine, looking around this area, looking for any chafed plug wires, any obvious water leaks,
rust,
fuel leaks, rust.
Yeah.
It'll all give you an indication and some familiarity with how your outboard's performing.
With the spark plugs, Steve, what things should we be looking for with them and checking?
The rule of thumb is that an engine running a set of spark plugs will need them replaced every 100 hours or 12 months.
Yeah.
A lot of that will depend on fuel condition, engine condition, on how badly they're wearing or how good they are.
Yeah.
The variance in that is a lot of the modern engines run an iridium style spark plug, so you get a lot longer life out of them.
Okay.
Whereas your basic two-stroke, again, it's that 12-month, 100-hour as a rule.
Yeah.
Pulling them out from time to time, having a look at the condition, seeing how black or worn they are, whether they're fouled, clumps of carbon and foreign objects in there. There are plenty of websites and things now you can have a look at and familiarise yourself with what a good running spark plug should look like.
As far as the fuel system is concerned, what sort of things should we be looking for there?
What you're looking for is water and water trap filters, any contamination in your fuel system. Obviously, whether it's a carburetted engine or a fuel injected engine, neither of the engines like any contamination or water going through them. It tends to damage internal parts of the engine fairly quickly. Any fuel tank with fuel being drawn out of it will draw air into it so that the tank doesn't collapse. So when you're out on the water there, you're getting a whole lot of salt laden or moisture laden air getting sucked into your fuel tank. So it's actually quite a common issue to have water in fuel tanks. So regular cleaning and regular replacing of fuel filters is definitely a must.
So as far as your fuel tanks, how long should your fuel be in there before you look at replacing it?
Again, there's no sort of hard and fast rules as such as that, but the general recommendation is that anything older than about 8 weeks really needs to be dealt with in some way, shape or form, whether it's decanted and split off and put with nice fresh fuel. Obviously, as fuel is left in a tank with the contaminants in it, the moisture in it, it also loses its condition. It varies from engine to engine, but generally most engines in New Zealand will run on a 91 octane fuel. And that will lose its condition over a period of time the longer it's left. If it's left for 5 or 6 months, I would strongly recommend you actually dump all the fuel out of it and put fresh fuel in. It's actually quite an important factor of boating.
Steve, as far as the zinc anodes, what should we be looking for there and when should we be looking at replacing them?
Generally, Matt, on a trailer boat you'll find that the anodes will last potentially the life of the engine. They are there for a reason, obviously, to protect the engine from corroding away. As a rule of thumb, an anode is good till it's sort of about 40 or 50% there, and it's time for replacement.
And what should we be checking with regards to the power trim?
What we're looking for is oil level to ensure that you've got a full body of oil in there to actually get the full movement of the engine trim. You're also looking for contaminants in there. As with anything in the salt water, it's got seals in it. If you pull a bung out and you find it's all a milky, molten mess, you know you've got some serious issues in your power trim system. We'll take the bung out now and have a look. Undoing your bung. Just release it slowly to make sure there's no built-up pressure. And at that point there, that's your bung. You can physically look inside there. I can actually see the level right at the top of the bung there, so that's actually fine.
What should we be doing to keep all the moving parts well lubricated?
Generally, mate, we've got a few grease nipples around an engine. We've got, for example, on your engine here, one grease nipple here on your steering tube, one here on your tilt lock, and one around the front of the engine on your trim up and down tube. Generally, regular greasing with a good quality grease. Most engine manufacturers supply a waterproof grease for these areas. So generally, popping your grease gun on to your grease nipple, and generally, as a rule, till you get grease come out the top and bottom areas. So you'll see grease come out here. You can just see it start to come out now, and also down the bottom area, so you're getting full coverage right through the moving parts.
In terms of our gearbox here, what should we be doing to make sure that's well looked after?
Probably two primary things. One is oil level, and the second is oil condition. depending on how confident you are of knowing what you're actually looking for and what water in a gearbox oil is going to look like. Obviously, you want the outboard vertical so that the gearbox is nice and even. Around here, we've got 2 bungs on this particular engine. One is the oil fill and one is the oil level, because all gearboxes are filled from the lower bung. Okay, so Phil, we pop this bung out here. We should be able to just see the level in there. Right, which I can just see the top of the oil level in there. Obviously the condition of the bungs, water entry around these bung areas, if they're not good, our recommendation is when you're pulling them out, you put a new bung on it.
What are the things we should be looking at to make sure that's running as it should be?
Well, obviously a visual inspection again, checking the blades, making sure there's no kinks, cracks, dings, etc. Anything in that area can set up a vibration, obviously through the engine, which won't be doing the engine any good. Secondly, we can remove the propeller from the engine. What we'll do first, Matt, is just remove the lock washer from the propeller. And it's just a nice soft tab on these Mercuries that bends up out of the way. So we're going to block of wood between the cavitation plate and the propeller to lock it up. So there's a spanner on there, and we've loosened the nut, taken the nut off. All prop shafts and props are on a spline. So as long as it's well greased, the prop will pull straight off. As you can see here, plenty of grease on your prop shaft. What we're looking for is lifting your front thrust hub off, and down in here is primarily where any nylon will get wound, and it'll wind into these seals here and allow water in there. You can also check for any corrosion. As you can see, you've got a bit building up here with a bit of salt water.
So Steve, we've run through all those bits and pieces we need to do. Is there anything else we need to do to make sure we keep our engine running smoothly?
I think what you'll find is if you do these basic checks yourselves, like throughout the year, you'll have potentially trouble-free boating. You'll be on top of anything before it actually happens, so you've been preventative about it. That's fine.